much for you listening. This is going to be our second episode. And my name is Oyebanji, Akins. We are live on CTD Among Blacks podcast. And with me today, I have my wonderful friend. They're a very good friend. They've been there with me for so many years. And it's a privilege for me. I'm having them on the air today. And I'll be introducing them. I have with me is Mohammed Delegbede. He's software engineer. And I have with me again Semiu, is data scientist. And I have Babatunde too, which we do call him among ourselves as Ashake of Houston.
There you go.
Is data analyst too, if I'm correct, right? So yes.
Analyst.
All right. Oh, thank you very much for correcting me on that. So thank you guys for you coming on air today. For you listening, for wherever you might be listening, maybe it's morning, maybe it's afternoon, or maybe it's evening, or it's the middle of the night. For you that you're giving us your time, we believe while we're riding into this episode is something you will join us and listen to everything we're saying, and we hope it can, change how you see things or give you more awareness to how you've been seeing things that happen around the world among Black. Without not wasting too much of our time, the topic that we'll be having to discuss today is what is the difference between Nigerians or Africans living in the United States compared to one back home, and how do we Nigerians, because we are all Nigerians sitting there here today, how do we see Black Americans, and how do we think they see us based on how we've have an encounter with them, and how do we think our own life being here have influenced people back home? Are they still thinking how we're thinking before we got here, or it's different? So you guys can take the floor and share your experience with me, and I hope our listener can be able to learn from us today. Thank you. So I think you could go
All
first.
Right. Thank you, Olumide.
Yeah, and you can call me fresh. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think it's a very fundamental topic, and the reason being that it's cut across who we are and how we have been able to retain our values coming to the United States, and also how we deal with people that we met here when we got here, and specifically talking about the Black or African Americans.
No, I don't understand what you mean. Try to bring it down to the level of everybody can.
So what I'm saying is that there is a two-pronged discussion.
Okay.
Nigerians in America. Mm-hmm. How are we different from Nigerians at home?
Yes.
And then how do we now see African Americans here?
For people that are here, yes.
So how do we see Nigerians back home?
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, I think they are still Nigerians, and I think we are still tied by the same values we shared back home. The only difference is that we change location, and that now we have to deal with how things are done here, because things are done here differently from the way they are at home. I personally feel uncomfortable with Nigerians who come here and then discard the values.
What do you mean by discard the values?
So, like, for instance, they don't speak their natural languages anymore.
Their dialects.
The dialect, yeah, exactly. So, like an Ijebu guy or Ekiti guy comes here, and then he wants to speak with an American accent, and deliberately does not speak his dialect from back home. Right? That for me makes me feel uncomfortable, because again, what is changing is the environment, but the values should remain.
So, but do you think how the Africans see Americans in terms of trying to become like them? Is it a wrong thing for them to feel like that?
For Americans wanting to be like Africans? Uh-huh. Which Americans are trying to be like?
Now, the reason why I ask you that is a twist question.
People in Nigeria want to be like you. Yeah, like Nigerians in America.
So let me get this. Are you saying Nigerians in Nigeria want to be like Nigerians in America?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it's
I have a twist question when I ask you that.
Okay, so again, it's a question of how people, what people fancy actually. For instance, some people in Nigeria would like to put on sneakers, put on jeans, and dress like an American. It's just the way the society is is built and what it is becoming, things can really go across border quicker than it used to be because of internet and all of that.
Okay, the reason why I ask you that is this, just to help you. You said something. You said you don't fancy Nigerians that come here and started feeling like they're trying to drop how things are done in Nigeria and try to become more American. Correct? Do I understand? Like that's
how
what you
things
said.
are done, values.
Okay, how the values are.
That's the
So
culture and the values.
so my thing is that a wrong thing for them to pick that part of this way of life?
Well, I'm not going to judge anybody. I just feel like you are what you are. A lizard from Nigeria that comes to America is a lizard in America. It doesn't make you an alligator.
But then what makes you think in that person's head that you think is doing like that is really, really trying to be like that?
It's how you portray it. Nobody sees what is in your heart. It's what you portray.
So to me now, you justify like if I portray like, like I look like this now, that exactly how you're gonna look at me. Like I don't look like somebody that go to school.
I'm not God, and I don't see.
No, I'm saying that to say I want you guys to say to what he's saying.
Yeah, okay. So I'll say this to what you first said about how we see people back home and how we see them different from here. I will use my mom as an example. There was a time I was on the phone with my mom, and I've never told my mom I love her, right? So I told that woman, "I love you, mom."
And what was the reaction?
It never happened before. I've never said that to her before. I don't recall her telling me she loved me. Okay, so she was like, "I'm not your girl," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, mom." That's a mother of about 70-something years old. Compared to people that are giving birth to children right now, they're telling their kids they love them. And we come in here to this country, you will start seeing kids and their parents telling each other they love each other.
Yeah,
which I did not grow up to.
Man, my dad never even buy a flower for my mom.
But this is the thing. It does not suggest that they don't love you. We are not just used to that kind of stuff.
But wait. So the reason why I like what Ashaki used to say, because I love to call him Ashaki used to, is the fact that I'm saying all those things are value of how things are done in America. Maybe you like it or not. Now, do you know some people will never change to do that? Like some Nigerians will never want to try of buying a flower. Even me, I'm still struggling.
No, so
I'm doing it.
I think that is a personal decision. So another thing I can chip into maybe the difference between Nigerians here and Nigerians in America is just similar to what my colleague said. Like I think the only thing that changes is location. But in addition to that, you might say maybe the kind of infrastructure that Nigerians here are enjoying is totally different from what it is in Nigeria. So sometimes that's why most Nigerians in Nigeria they feel like the ones here are maybe they're on top of the world, which absolutely is not.
Way.
Okay, so I want to go back to the flower thing. So buying flower that's not value.
It's not value.
Value that I'm talking about is language. How we greet people, how we interact with people.
Wait. Let me stop you on that one. Quick one. Do you know people back home speak American English mostly better than people that are in America, Nigerians that are in America?
It depends on how you look at it. What do you call American English?
They have their lingo of how they talk. We all know that.
You can easily learn that when you watch movies.
So what do you mean by what do you now mean by saying what you said about saying picking their way of life? What exactly do you mean?
He's
What are you
trying
referring
to
to?
change your way of life.
He's talking about the values of you coming from Nigeria. You grew up with values, right?
No. I understand what you guys are saying.
Fresh.
I want him to say the fact of the value.
Let me ask you this question.
All right.
You just need an instance.
Let me ask you this question. If your mom shows up to the United States and you want to greet your mom, how would you greet your mom?
Most definitely. I still prostrate to every black American woman.
Now, some people
here
tell you, "Oh, now we shake." Now, this is what I said. They say, "Now we shake," or "Now we hug." So now say, because we are here, this is what we do. So my point is, if you see me when I show up, no matter the way I dress, the way I conduct myself, you can tell right away this guy is a Nigerian, or at least is an African.
I think what the arguments that some people would say is that they will tell you that when you get to Rome, you behave like Romans. And they will tell you that we are not the one that invent that, say, it's been there since we were born, and that's why they will give you the reason why should I continue with the way I was raised. Now that I'm here, then I need to do the way it is here. Some of them are even back it up in the sense that okay, in Nigeria maybe practically the kind of lawful law that operates in Nigeria is not as strict as what is here. You can't say because Nigeria is a lawless nation. You want to get here.
What do you mean by a lawless nation?
I'm glad you asked that question anyway, because I wanted to understand what do you mean by we are lawless?
Okay.
That people refuse to obey the law.
No, people refuse to obey.
Doesn't make the system a lawless system.
No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to say people.
Yeah,
better. You can say
part of my language level, but maybe people don't abide by the law, or the law is not really strict.
The laws are strict.
It's strict, but people kind of get away with it. Let me use that word. They get away with it. Unlike the way it is.
No, wait. Let me put you on the red line like I always use to everybody.
Okay.
They get away with it, or we get away with it.
That's why I use people.
No. I'm asking you personally. Like, do we or they? Is it we or they?
We. Okay, let me.
Okay, that's good. I just want to know. Change begins with you anyway. So.
Okay, maybe because they will tell you that when you get here, it's more of a tighter system, and if you don't try to caution or be careful, you might find yourself in a place where you're
I think in that area for me, I don't think it's. I think this country just there's a way they live their life that we're forced to do it too. I don't know, maybe that makes sense.
What do you mean? We are forced to do what?
No. There's a way they live their life here that we have no option than to join them.
No, we don't live. That's the thing. We don't live like that.
No. I'll give you the reason why I said that is this. You know, people that are from Nigeria, you can go to a studio and just, bring out that thing and just anywhere you like. People still do it. Like, park right there. Let me do it real quick.
Yeah.
You can never try it in America. I don't care.
Bro, you can pee on the roadside. What are you talking about?
Before you even have the confidence of doing it, I can categorically tell
you have to
you've been
look
here for a while.
You have to look
everywhere
and be certain that no camera here.
So guys. So let's get it straight.
Okay.
Right? Every system has its own peculiarity.
Right.
Yes.
Even in Nigeria, peeing on the roadside is not a good thing.
Yes.
But listen to me. I'm not trying to cut you short. But even though we know it's wrong in Nigeria, if you everywhere is.
That's what I'm saying. That's a peculiarity. There are other countries where things like that happen too. I've been to Ghana and I've peed on the roadside in Ghana.
It's Ghana now.
No, don't say in Ghana. There are some things
country.
you would never get away with in Ghana that will get away with in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So but the point here is the fact that something is done doesn't mean it is right. Because this country kind of enforces some things better than we do in Nigeria.
Do you think it's no wait? I'm glad. Don't twist everything you're saying because me I'm following. Do you think it's they enforce or the people themselves?
No, they enforce.
So you guys are saying we don't enforce in Nigeria?
No, to a large extent here.
Yeah.
There is repercussion.
So in Nigeria, go.
You can get away with a lot of things. So if a policeman, it's simple analogy.
So getting away with the law. If I don't want to stop you. Getting away with the law is the fact of saying it's the people now. What is law? Is the people behind the law?
Hold on.
Use a simple traffic.
If a policeman arrests you in Nigeria, you can bribe your way.
Yes.
Right on spot.
Yes.
That is the last thing you want to try here in this
But that is not a system. That's the people,
That's
bro.
the system.
No, it's the people.
No.
That's
the
the
system.
No. Listen to what I'm. Let me end the part I'm saying to you guys.
Okay.
It's the system, but it depends on the policeman not to take the bribe from you. It's the people.
So the system is
mean in
built
Nigeria
such
or
that
right here?
Both ways. It's the people.
fresh. The system is built such that
at least
even
just
the police would not want to take that kind of bribe. Now, I'm not saying some people don't bribe the police.
Right here.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they do.
Okay. They can bribe the police.
But
I don't know if you can bribe the police.
They don't
because
have
you put
to
a camera in front of
have
you.
to be
No.
on duty.
No, but at what
You
point
can bribe anybody.
I don't. No, but I'm not sure.
Are you? Be careful. Don't say something you're not sure of. You really sure the bribe police?
Google it.
Okay, you Google it.
People
on this channel, right? If you're listening, we have no fact. It's Google.
No. What my point is, there are instances of cases of bribery within police units across the United States.
Yes.
There are instances of policemen going rogue.
All right.
Yes.
In the United States, I can remember one happened in Maryland where a particular task force was robbing drug barons. They bust them, but instead of taking the drugs back to the office, they resell it. It happened in Maryland. About 5 or 6 cops were involved in this. So it's not as if people people have a tendency to go rogue. People have a tendency to break the law. But the difference here is there is a likelihood that if you break the law here, you will pay the penalty.
Correct.
Than in Nigeria.
All right. I think that kind of makes sense. I want us to drag us in something else before we, spend a lot of time on that one. What do you think make us different from people back home? Nigerians back home.
I think a lot.
Yeah.
First, I would say, coming here, the work we do as well. You can go anywhere if you plan your time well. Hardly you'll be in 45 minutes traffic before you get to where you're going.
In Houston or in America?
I'm talking in America in general.
Oh, right.
Even in Houston, there is toll if you want to take the toll.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's feeder if you don't mind the light.
HOV.
There's HOV.
That makes sense.
But back in Nigeria, if you gotta be at work at 7 a.m. and if your work is about 40 minutes, 30 minutes away from you, you gotta wake up at 4 a.m.
Okay. Let me help you with this. I think maybe I need to rephrase that question properly. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to know is, like, in terms of our awareness about black people.
Okay.
Do you think there's a big gap between how Nigerians back home see black Americans to how we see what? And that's what I want to hear. Like, how do you think when you talk to people back home about black Americans, what are the things you think you're now teaching them to know that they don't know?
Again, before we all got here, our only way of trying to know black Americans is through movies or what we see on the TV. Now, there's something the West, America inclusive, does well. They portray themselves well in the media to look like everything is just smooth and perfect. Now, what we have been able to understand coming here is it is not always greener
On the other
side. The number of deaths per day in Chicago that people in Nigeria don't know about is a lot. The number of crimes that is recorded in Houston.
Yes. Even deaths every day, every single day.
Shootings in Houston is such that if people in Nigeria know, they will tone down the way they condemn or they address a lot of things. So it's a different thing when you watch movies. It's a different thing when you see these things live. So I think the major difference is that we are here, we live with black people, we live within a system, and we see that this system is not as perfect as
it's being portrayed.
As being portrayed in the media generally.
So another thing I want to chip in is, which is kind of similar, is that people in Nigeria, whatever they know about African American, it's based on information. But while we are here, we have interaction in different form with African American. It could be at your workplace, it could be anywhere, it could be just maybe a friend, and all those ones comes with different, maybe I'm going to call it different attributes or different behaviors depending on what kind of relationship that comes with you. So that alone, it makes you know some part of African American that you might not be aware of if you're back home, especially maybe the other side of the, either the good or the bad. So that's another point.
Just to quickly correct an impression here, when I was making my comments, I was talking about the system, not African Americans. When I was talking about the killings and all that, I was actually talking about the system as a whole, not African American. However, to address the issue of African Americans, again, I think we see it real life. Like Semi rightly said, we deal with these people, we interact with them, we have businesses together, we do stuff together. We see them close range, unfiltered, unlike what you see in the media.
And do you guys think when we tell people back home about this information, is it something you think they agree with us, or you just like, okay, I'm not about to argue with you guys until maybe you find yourself living in America?
Usually they don't usually agree, because there's this perception that maybe if you tell them the right thing, and if the right thing it's not really what they want to hear, they believe you're lying, or maybe you're trying to discourage or do some stuff like that.
I think
I think it depends on who you talk to.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It depends on who you're talking to.
It depends on who you're talking to. You can't argue about people that I've seen
that you have not seen.
that you have not seen.
That's true.
They have the facts that you only have the information. So you the only thing you can do is to ask them questions so you can get more information from them. So it depends on the people you talk to.
So if I tell you this is the way it is and you don't agree with me, I'm not going to worry too much about trying to convince you. I mean, it is what it is.
Right? Because what can I say to convince you anyway? This is where I live. I'm telling you my own story and you're not listening to me. So I don't have to convince you.
I think personally to me, I think maybe like you said, people you talk to. I think a lot of people that I go around when I go to Nigeria are more, I don't even know, if like they're more Americanized than me. I've met somebody that gave me a big lie that I almost fell for it until we started talking about the address in New Jersey. Even though I haven't lived in New Jersey, the girl was giving me that line. It was nice. Our English was superb, and with no disrespect to Nigerian women back home, she was in that class of, African American stuff like that. And I don't know, I just mentioned one place like that, and she couldn't follow up with the story. And I'm like, so you been lying? She was like, bro, you should understand. We're just trying to like. And I think to me, a lot of people back home are even knowing more than some people in America.
Definitely.
That's what the internet is for. I mean, so in my case, I had a friend who came to the United States about a year before I came in. But at every step, he calls me to ask me questions. And what do? I Google. And it tells people that before you tell me anything, let me ask my friend. And I said, where's your friend? He's in Nigeria. I said, how can you be asking a Nigerian something in America?
With the Americans.
But interestingly, there's nothing I've told him or I ever told him back then that didn't work out. Because most of these things are written.
Yes.
Right? You may choose a different path. That's your prerogative. But most of the things that work in this country are written.
That's fact. I want to add this. What do you think is the problem with some Nigerians that live in America but doesn't want to we have some Nigerians that don't want to work with the system. Like they're still more extremely traditional. Like they still feel like they want to bring the way of life from Nigeria to America.
I think I understand what you're trying to say. So,
thank you. So help me making sure people can understand what I'm trying to say.
One, it depends on your lifestyle.
Yes.
When you are used to a lifestyle for so many years, it will be hard for you to change, no matter where you go. It doesn't matter.
The you thing is like they just don't want to change. Like I think
it's difficult to change.
Nah, I don't think it's difficult to change.
It is.
It is very difficult to change for real.
I think the most constant thing in life is change.
No. You're mistaking it. The constant thing is change.
Change happens, but it's difficult to change.
People adapt to it. Big corporations have change.
I'll ask you a question right now.
Okay, what's the question?
If somebody give you $1,000 to start smoking, what would you do?
Jesus Christ, why the hell you want to talk about me? I don't.
It's a question.
For the record, anyway, I don't smoke, but I smoke a little bit of weed. So for anybody that listening, but if anybody give me $1,000 to stop smoking weed, it has nothing to do. My smoking weed has something to do with money.
No. He's just asking you, giving you money to as an incentive for change.
How you can change?
No,
it's not easy.
Yeah, it's. So mine has something to do, but that's wait.
That's a good example.
No, that's the wrong example. That doesn't make no sense. You just put that one out.
So
that's nice.
I'll go about it this way. I'll go about it this way.
How do you want to go about it? Are you about to shoot me again?
So there is a company.
For anybody listening, we're not talking about ray gun. When I mean shooting, it's just shooting me a question.
There is a company A who has been using Excel to manage their expenses for 27 years. And the system has not broken. And then they employ you on a Monday after 27 years, and you say, oh, let's switch to Oracle. There's going to be some level of
like you got to give me enough reason.
Why should we change? If it's not breaking, why fix it? Right? So it takes a process to introduce change into a system that appears to be working. Now, bringing that back to Nigerians. When you say we are being traditional, I would expect my kids, when they get to the United States, to still greet people
The way they greet
the way they
people.
greet people back home. So this is what I don't like to see. When you make it look as if you are becoming a different person because you are here. Be who you are. There are things that you have no choice. That's the way it works here. We'll do it. But to become, like I said before, a lizard in Nigeria, when you come to America, you are a lizard in America, not an alligator. America does not turn you into anything. You are who you are, just living in America. The system is structured in a way that there are things that, for instance, for people amongst us who are married to African Americans, your friends cannot just show up to stay overnight in your house.
Right? Right?
Hey, okay, for the sake of people listening from back home, if you're listening, this is some information for anybody that live in Africa anyway. This is an information I want you to listen properly. So if you're still listening to us, please just stay.
If your friend says, I need to tell my wife, in Lagos you'll be like, no, just show up. Your wife would understand. But that's not the way it works here. Old lady needs to know. My friend is coming tomorrow. He's going to be here for 3 weeks.
You need a green light too.
And she needs to say, it's okay.
And see, I'm glad we kind of touch into this because it's one of the most biggest thing people don't understand. And if you tell somebody back home, they will have a reason to question why would you have to go to your wife and take permission when you're the man of the house?
Offer you two things. Number one is, let's talk about street credibility. A lot of people come into this country not keeping any sense of relationship back home with whether family or friends. So when you do stuff, it's hard for them to understand you because even before that incident, they don't even trust you.
All right.
So if I tell my friends something about my situation in the United States, the chance that they would doubt me is probably 0.0001% because I always keep it real. But we have people who come here who go to parking lot or motor parks
fake lives
to take pictures of Bentley and Rolls Royce.
I don't live that life before.
Thinking that friend you are lying to will not get a visa. When the friend gets a visa.
Oh, I didn't live that one life.
So when the friend gets a visa, he's thinking he's coming to meet his friend that has a Bentley. You don't want to come out straight, you start avoiding your friend. So that's, we need to understand. But the truth is some things are here that is the way they work. Like, for instance, again, if you are married to an African American,
wait, okay, continue. Don't let me stop you.
You cannot just say, go and do that, because most of these girls grew up in a home where their mom did everything, where they did everything by themselves before they met you, and they begin to feel like, where is my right in all of this? In the normal traditional African setup, the man is the head of the house. The buck ends on our table. We call the shots. We take care of business. It's not prevalent in the system, the recent system, because in the olden days, the olden American days, that's the story we had. But now the woke mentality is changing everything. Everything's about equal rights, women's rights, as if when you take charge, you are enslaving the woman. So people who are coming in from Nigeria should not expect that kind of authority.
Do you agree with that system or not?
I don't.
You don't agree with the system of equal rights?
I do.
So there are difference between equity and equality.
Okay, can you break it down a little bit?
Now, see,
in a very quick,
a woman's right encompasses being taken care of, being listened to, being given a voice, and all of that kind of stuff. But even after that, the buck ends with the man. Not just a man that takes care of business. For instance, I didn't know that people share rent until I came to this country. My father took care of rent, took care of school fees, took care of transportation, took care of everything. So my mother didn't see any need to feel like my father is driving her around.
Okay, quick one. So you now go to United States of America, a woman shared the bills with you, and for some reason you tell the woman not to do that you're gonna take care of the bills. Does that mean because you're taking all the bills, they got to live their own way of life, just to since you're providing, so they don't have to have the right to be able to tell you something?
Stop saying it right. They can tell me anything.
So what do you mean by the word? Like I said, don't make the story too long. What do you mean by the word equal rights and equality?
So these things. That's okay. Let me give you an example.
Yes.
There is a guy, is 6 inches tall, or 6 feet tall. There is a guy, is 3 feet tall. There is a ladder that is 9 feet tall. Now, you give both guys a 4 feet ladder. When the 6 feet guy gets on the 4 feet ladder, it becomes 10 feet. It sees above the fence. When the 3 feet guy takes the 4 feet ladder, it gets to 7. It still does not see the fence. That is equality, because they both got equal length, equal resources.
Yes.
But equity is understanding the limitation of the other guy and giving him a ladder that takes him an inch above the fence. So if I have a wife anywhere in the world, she has a right that must be taken care of, not just lip service, but must be seen to have been taken care of. However, men are designed to head the family, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, if my wife earns money and I am broke and she's saying, babe, I got you, that's fine. But I would never ever worry about how much she earns. I would never ever knock my wife's door and say, babe, tomorrow is rent, bring half of the rent. That's my business. That's my responsibility.
So for any man that now decide to have the same right, splitting the bills and everything like that, do you think that man does have the right to do the same thing you're saying? Is a Nigerian man, I mean.
A Nigerian man that does that, I'm not gonna call them a Nigerian.
So
because we are not raised like that.
Wait. Let me understand you guys. You're putting some things you don't understand. Let me say you don't understand it, but let me bring it like this. Okay. So what you guys are saying is, if a man can be that much of taking care of the bills, he doesn't belong to the group of men that's supposed to tell his wife do this, do that.
No. So whether a man is rich or poor,
he just need to do
this.
This goes back to what MM said earlier about values.
You see,
if you guys want me to ask these questions,
okay.
No matter how we write, no matter how we raise, no matter how we believe things are supposed to be, we live in the United States of America. There are some things they are raised to know how it is. Now listen to me. We know that in Nigeria, once you're married, you have the rights in your home. This is my home, and I can tell you how things are supposed to go. Now, if it happens where you find yourself married African American, and you're trying to enforce such rules, and she's telling you this is how I'm raised.
You don't get it wrong.
No. So my point is,
do you marry African American?
Wait.
There are some things you would know.
Of course.
There are some rules or stuff that will be on the ground before you get married.
But do you know people have been getting married thinking people will change inside the marriage?
But I don't think you're making a big mistake. No. Even in Nigeria, we know the women.
I've not finished the question.
We know the women own the home.
No. But even African American women, they will be happy and glad to marry a man who has the will, or who made the decision that he's going to take care of more of the bills. So nobody is going to oppose to that, even though you are African American and
no.
That.
So you guys didn't allow me to finish the question.
Okay,
the question goes like this: we're in America. This is their home. This is where they are. We are in their own house right now. Let's just look at it like in Nigeria. When you marry your wife and your wife father is when I give you a job. Sometimes they will use that line to you, like, you're working in my dad's company, right?
No shit.
So sometimes
depends on who you're married to.
Yeah, no. Some men would tell, like, I don't care, I can leave your job and go. Now, most time you've seen American women that will tell you, like, you can go back to your country. You will get in a fight where they will tell, like, if you don't like it right here, while you staying, you can go back home. Which is what we do say back home, like, man, I can't work in your dad's company, no. You guys can be taking your thing. But for us in America, we can't just go back home, right? Now, my question is this. Do y'all think there should be a common level where we can bend part of our norms and rules to make that home to be balanced, because we are expecting them to bend something they are used to.
Oh, fresh.
I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
Marriage.
Yes.
Marriage is a social contract, irrespective of who you are married to. It could be interracial, it could be interreligious, it could be anything. There are laid down responsibilities that a man should carry, irrespective of who you are married to. In this context that we're talking about, African American women, we need to understand that these ladies we're talking about are raised in a certain way, under a certain kind of orientation. It would be foolish to expect that 32-year-old, 28-year-old, 35-year-old, 45-year-old girl to overnight switch and become what you want.
Okay, now I'm glad you said that. So this is my question. If you're to advise a Nigerian guy that got married to a black American that just come to United States, and for the fact that you've been in this country for a while, what would be your advice in terms of making that home to be, the only thing you understand is like they're having lack of communication, maybe our ethnic background and stuff like that. Like we're saying, what would you have tell that guy to keep that home? What would you advise him?
Yo, communicate and don't overpromise anything.
All right.
Hey, and again, I want to emphasize this. It doesn't matter where the lady is coming from. This should be the standard. You must communicate well. See, you need to open your mouth and talk. Ladies, like men, have expectation in a marriage. I'm not talking about flings where it's a one-night stand arrangement. A marriage that would work under any circumstance needs to be built on top of trust and communication. Now, some guys, when they are courting a lady, when they are dating this girl, every morning they send out a text. Oh, sunshine, how are you? They buy flowers, buy chocolate. When they marry this girl, none of that happens again. So she fell in love with a different guy. She's married to a different guy. Whatever you cannot sustain, don't start. Whatever you are not used to, don't introduce. If she wants it, let her know you can do it.
Thank you very much for that. Semi,
I would like to say one word.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that kind of relationship, also, it doesn't matter about the background. Compromise is also important.
I think that's another big word I've been trying to get from everybody, which I really appreciate you putting down there, because I think being compromised will help us to go a long way.
Because you can't get 100% of what you want.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that cuts across all kinds of marriage.
Yes. So another point that I'm going to drive at is even beside marriage, and I think in this country especially, it's kind of across, which is patience. You just need to be patient. Like in this country, if you really want to, if you are married to an African American woman, for the fact that maybe her lifestyle or her way of life might not be what you are used to, and maybe let's assume that you are trying to change her, but you don't expect the change to be overnight. It's a gradual thing, and that's part of.
What do you mean change her?
Like if I mean change her, meaning like start. For example, maybe he doesn't know how to cook African food.
That's not changing her. That's so.
I mean, just learning, right?
It is value.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So,
but I think it's changed too.
No. So when people say I want to change it, that's where the problem starts.
No. I think no. Let me say this. I think I've learned to understand that there's some English word that African use that sometimes that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
So I think
and that's what I'm driving at.
Yes.
Once you tell I'm trying to change you, you're in trouble.
Of course, definitely.
I used to tell my fiance that whenever she does something very well, I'll be like, but she didn't do it perfect, right? I'll be like, oh, you tried. And she'll look at me and be like, what do you mean I tried? In my own sense, you did good. It's what I meant. Not that you tried. And she was like, oh, she didn't know that you try is not a thing.
Let me give you a very interesting example. Okay. Back home, when you see a lady that has meat on her bones and you say she's fat, we never used to think it's any big lady. We would call it orobo.
Yeah.
The big lady.
Yeah. Thank you for doing the interpretation.
Skinny one is leper.
Yeah, it's orobo, right? And when you are skinny, we say she's leper, skinny. But if you tell a lady she's fat,
she find it offensive.
You're body shaming. It's a big problem.
Yeah, because it's I think for me what I understand about that is a big problem because we can take away the history of this country.
No,
There's
we
some
can't.
things black people are still stigmatized about how they see themselves. So when you say some key words, I think it gets to them, and some people have been able to get out of it. Some are still stuck with it. So once you realize some people are still stuck, the best thing is to find a way to tell them if they can catch it, and if they can't.
Fresh again, that's a whole new topic.
Most definitely.
What black or African Americans have gone through over the years, starting from the days of slavery.
And I think if we're having that episode, it has to be having black American in the house, because we can never understand what they go through. We can only
we can appreciate it.
yes,
But
yes.
we cannot feel it.
Yeah, we
because-
can.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's something that's really, really huge in terms of how I want to talk. But it's something that I would love us to having them, and they can, people can easily tell us how that triggers some things for them, how to see themselves.
And just to build on top of that, I think one of the things Nigerians in America don't do well is trying to deal with African Americans in isolation of the history of the blacks in this country.
That's huge.
We are quick to judge them
That's
on
huge.
some issues. We are quick to write them off on some issues, not understand that those issues are not standalone. They are
a collective.
They are as a
history,
result of the historical
hereditary.
struggle, historical betrayal of the system of the black people. And then we just come in here because, for instance, this is a country that does not forgive. If you are born black in this country, in the ghetto, you are disadvantaged about.
Oh, you got, when you say the ghetto, it's gotta be in the hood.
in the hood.
Yeah.
I'm just being straight up.
Yeah.
You're about 75% in the minors.
Yeah.
In the minors. Because of that, probably your dad is in jail. At age 15 or 17, you commit, say, an offense, whatever it is.
Let's just say offense. Yes.
An offense. It's on your record. You may not be able to get a corporate job
Forever.
because of that forever.
Even they have a change of heart, they will never be able to get it.
The system does not see you as having changed because it's on the record. So they just see you in the same way, the same guy they saw 17 years ago, same guy they still see now. So when that kind of guy is dealing with those issues, we just coming from Nigeria, no criminal record, we get a job, we begin to look down or make that guy feel like he's not doing enough to get a job. Not understanding that the system has refused.
That's a really big thing.
forgive.
That's a big thing you're trying
The
to.
system
big
has
topic.
refused to see the new guy who was lost at that age. And until we begin to walk in the shoes of average African Americans, we would never understand this. For
We would
instance,
never.
in Nigeria, I can commit a crime and 20 years down the line, I would run for an election and I will win. Because there's no record, there's no written record.
There's
There'll
a
be-
song. I'm not about to mention the name, but we both know the song.
There'll
Let's
be-
leave it that way.
There'll be verbal record that I did something like that, but there's no written record. But in this country, a simple background check,
Pull it out.
pull it out.
We'll put you on the line real quick. So anyway, I'm about to say this. We've been able to, we're wrapping up, and before we wrap up, I will want to say this for you still listening to us. You can follow us on Instagram, CTD Among Blacks, and you could check us out on YouTube, CTD Among Blacks also, and our website is www.ctdamongblacks.com, and you can check us on. We're live on podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you could any one of these things. You can subscribe to us and listen to us. I hope today we've been able to share some, discussion. You've never had opportunity of talking with people. I hope we've opened your mind towards some things you don't know. And if you have any suggestion or questions, or maybe you want to sponsor or anything you would like to join us on this page, you can reach us on ctdamongblacks@gmail.com. While we're trying to wrap up, I would like you to Samuel and Babatunde Ashake of Houston to what would be the last thing you like to tell Nigerians that are yet to be in America, and for the youth? Well, I would like every one of you to take one turn to just say something that can be positive for the next people coming. for the next generation in how they see black people and we living here, and something they can hold on to when they find themselves coming across a black American.
So
I'll say first. I'll say when one comes to the United States, dealing with African Americans, be patient, ask questions, understand things differently, see things differently before you say anything or judge.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Babatunde. And Semi, can you tell us the last one you would like to say?
So, in expatiating on what one of the key factors that Babatunde has said, which is patience, because one thing about this country is they test your patience. So, meaning that if you really want to succeed in this country, you have to be patient in everything you do, starting from maybe you trying to build a career, you trying to sort out so many things, getting a good spouse, and a whole lot of things. It takes a lot of patience. And this country is also designed that everything is progression, like arithmetic, not geometric. Like you can't go from 2 to 10. You have to go from 2, 3, 4, 5 till you get a 10. And if you try to skip maybe a step, that's when you find yourself in trouble. And whatever the American dream you're thinking of, you might ended up handing it prematurely, like somebody who died prematurely. So my big advice for anybody who in Nigeria trying to come to the United States and wants to live American dream, the biggest thing is he has to be patient.
Thank you very much for that, Sami. And lastly, would you like to put your own word into it?
My advice, number one, is the moment you get through the immigrations, whatever idea of blacks you have, just let it stay there. Trash it and come in with an open mind. And this idea of African Americans doesn't make sense to me. You're dealing with people. So treat them as human beings, as people, and don't get carried away with the black or African American thing in your mind. Come in fresh, open your mind. This is a different culture from where we're coming from. This is a different system from where we're coming from. You can't just come in fresh and then try to see people from your own lens without knowing their story.
And lastly, keep it 100%.
Be real and show some respect. Yeah, I think that is very important. That you have to be 100%.
Yeah,
and then you have to show respect.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you have to show respect.
And whatever you are doing, you just have to be dedicated 100% with it.
Thank you very much one more time. I really appreciate you guys coming. History has been made through this. I believe this can impact somebody's life out there. I hope wherever you might be saying. All right, sorry for that. For anybody you might be listening to, all Nigerians, I totally believe you understand what I'm saying, and to all Black Americans, we're just talking about some black roots that we do drink just to make a man become.
So before just a quick question. Now, this may be some other time.
All right,
is it which is more appropriate, Black Americans or African Americans?
African American. Because in corporate world, if you ever ask for your race, they will say it's African.
So I don't care about the corporate world. I care about what these people.
Oh, you mean the people right here, right?
What do they like to be addressed like? Because I've seen people who said, I'm not African, I'm just American and I'm black.
I've seen people like that.
And to buttress to that, you'd be surprised that I have an uncle back home where he doesn't like to be referred as African American. He's black.
So that's what I'm trying to understand. Which is appropriate.
I think I don't think there is anything appropriate or wrong, because people are, like you said, people are being raised in different ways. Some people are used to Africans, Black Americans. So for anyone they feel comfortable to be called, I think it's better to just respect them, to give that.
All right, cool. Right. I'll take it.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes
sense to me.
And wrapping up,
just like how white people like being called white instead of Caucasian.
Yes, that's another thing too. Yeah, you're right. And some people don't even, they don't chip about it. Just go whatever you call them. But with that being said, thank you for listening to us, for wherever you might be listening, anywhere you might find yourself, morning, evening, afternoon, middle of the night. I hope we've been able to impact your life in some ways. I hope you've been able to enjoy my wonderful friend that come on our podcast channel today. And for wherever you might be, I hope we've been able to make an impact for you to connect with the next Black Americans or Black people wherever you might find them. Maybe in France, maybe in Afghanistan, maybe in Zimbabwe, anywhere you might find any Black people. I hope what we share today have helped you to be able to interact with people. With that being said, we'll be wrapping up, and I would love to add this to it. It might not make sense how you move in your life, as long as it's positive. Just keep doing it. I can promise you in future it will definitely make a lot of sense. I remain Oyebanji, Akins, and you can call me Fresh till we come again on live. Remain happy, love the people around you, and try to do a good thing for the world to be a better place. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next episode.